willing.
Yeah, Dave's willing.
It's old school.
Dave Price? Yeah, we'll take care of it if you're, yeah.
Okay. Look at just the Dr. Seuss night.
Yeah.
Tomorrow evening, and the Surf and Swim Wear Green. Tomorrow evening as well.
So if you don't, so you can read and swim.
Yep, you can do both if you time it right.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Nothing else, I think we're pretty good on right
No.
now, so. Okay.
Youth council's hiding up at Logan.
Yep, they're like,
So.
okay. And I kind of feel you guys in yesterday.
Okay.
Okay, well, I guess we're good on the reports then, so let's go ahead and go with our second agenda item, which Mr. Dave Price, I believe you're up.
Yeah.
We'll talk about a proposal.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This evening we have the opportunity to present Resolution 2222. It is to an award and a contract, an agreement with Design West Architecture to do the design work and construction documentation for the Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the Park Shop enlargement. And so Phase 1 was funded under the current budget year, and that's the green phases. If you've been out to Ellison Park, you've noticed the new wall that's been put up, and we'll continue with fencing, a cold warehouse, utility work, and parking areas.
Must be Steve.
Allergic to me?
I'm so sorry.
It is the no turning.
It's spring.
It's cologne.
I'm in hell worse.
And I
Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Just hand me a tissue, please.
Candy bar, chocolate, anything in it.
So this architectural contract will cover Phase 1. At Commerce Park, it's all the green that's shown on that drawing. It included the fuel tank relocation and the parking lot that was put there in Commons Park. In Commons, it also includes electrical and utility work, the expansion of the shop space, so the green up, you can see the red line around right through the center of the green area. That's where the fencing will be, and then it includes warehouse buildings, a greenhouse, and some storage bays.
Are you moving you're not moving your current greenhouse, are you?
Yes.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. It's smaller, and we hope to be able to put the larger greenhouse out where it's a little sunnier as well. So that's all funded currently, and the architectural contract is broken into 2 phases as well. Phase 1 will be funded out of the existing monies, and when or if the Phase 2 project is funded in this year and next year, we will go ahead with the construction of Phase 2, and that is for the new shop building at Ellison Park. So any questions about the phasing and funding?
I couldn't see what those actually said when I tried to zoom in, so I just wanted to know what specifically.
Canopy days. All the different
Yeah,
ones there.
let's see if we can zoom in here so you can see it a little better.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty.
And so it's a very utilitarian building. We do not expect to have a lot of public exposure down here. It's just a workspace. And so we start over on this end with a wash bay and then vehicle bays through this area. Then we have a mechanic space for storage and some storage rooms right here. Matt is our mechanic.
That's laughing at Matt's face.
Yeah, that got a little personal. And I'm sure he was involved in that as well. We have restrooms and then a kitchen, a multi-purpose room, or a kitchenette, I guess. This also serves as a meeting room for our crew, as well as a break room. And then in here we have a janitor's closet, foreman offices, and supervisor office, and then a place for maps and files and computer printers. Back up in here, we just have a large heated storage area. As I pull back out a little, this building is phase 1, and it will be going up sometime this spring. It is a cold building. It doesn't have heat or, well, it will have electricity, but no heat. And it's to house those things that don't need to be indoors. So, and then all these bays here are to park equipment, a lot of which is currently being parked at the fire station during the summer. We appreciate that, gentlemen. But also a lot of it is being held at the maintenance facility. And so if and when we transition out of the maintenance facility, this will provide that storage area.
So, I know this was a question back when, and I don't know if you guys, where are you planning on storing all of the lighting decorations as well as in the off-season? I know those guys are constantly changing out those bulbs, so are you seeing them doing that in one of those rooms there? Is that the purple?
Yeah, we have a couple of plans in place depending on how quickly things develop in the city.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the animals can be stored in the canopy bays if we need to temporarily, and the work on those can be done inside the vehicle bays. They actually take just a few animals, 3 or 4 at a time, move them in, and then relight them, and then they'll put them back out. Down the road, in the long-term plan, in phase 3, as we redo this building right here, that has a large area solely for storage of Christmas and cold area things. But that building is down the road. It's not something that we're looking at right now.
Right.
And with the new building, it frees up all of the existing bays in our existing, if you look underneath the drawing, you can see that roof line there. As we move more of the functions that happen in here to the new building, a lot of this can become storage for Christmas as well.
The Nelson Park location, is that north of the pickleball?
Yes.
Pickleball's right underneath that.
Yeah, the pickleball would be right here. There is a little space, so we have some open space between the pickleball and the shop.
Trying to orient where.
Yeah, this is the Ellison Park Elementary and the parking there. Any other questions?
Yeah,
Please.
when we open the pickleball.
We
You
plan,
said it first.
we plan to open this spring. We're watching and as we talked about yesterday, we're waiting to see how far we can go with our landscaping. The courts themselves are done. We're waiting for a few connections on the lighting system, and the restroom is not quite finished, but it's real close. So this spring we'll be opening up.
Okay,
So,
that's the only call I get. No one, well, they do ask me, what's going inside that fence?
oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
and I tell them more pickleball courts. But you need to talk to Dave about it.
yeah. Well, thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Didn't you say that you were gonna have a restroom out here?
Yeah,
Is that,
Yeah, with the pickleball complex, there is a restroom being
no,
constructed.
I mean out here in the commons area. Is that
That is in this year's funding request.
right?
And so, and if this year's funding requests are approved, we will build a new pavilion. And then just to the side of the pavilion, we'll have a nice new restroom as well.
About where the parking lot is roughly now?
Just a little bit north of there,
Yeah.
right, adjacent to the parking lot. And that's, the
I
timing
just
is,
thought I'd mention it, because I know some people use the one that's out there, and once that goes, I mean, this is down the road, obviously, as far as the dates,
To the
but
sewer.
I think folks would like to know that, yeah, that's on our radar, and it's definitely something that we're going to have installed hopefully soon.
yeah. What was that, Trey?
I said, make sure you can get to the sewer, that we can crack the bubble going downhill.
We've got a great deal of faith in what you guys can do.
Yeah.
The miracle team.
Yeah. And so again, we're excited about this, is will help us a great deal as we continue to do work across the city. And so as we move from the phasing and the construction, as we get back to the architectural contract that we're talking about this evening, again, that's broken into 2 phases. The first phase for phase 1 is out of this year's existing budget. Phase 2 is conditional. And this is also being let out as a CMGC project, or a construction manager general contractor project. And so we'll be working with the architect, but very early in the process, we'll be selecting the general contractor, so that as we go through the design, we will be able to keep very close tabs on costing, because that is a difficult thing right now.
As
So-
well as securing the contractor.
As we'll talk about a little more in the regular meeting, we did put this out as an RFP. We selected or asked multiple companies to respond to the RFP. We only had one turn in a proposal. Thankfully, it was a company that we had worked previously on. They're currently doing the pickleball complex as well as the Harmony Park. And so we're very comfortable with that firm, Design West Architecture. And their fee structure for phase 1 was $139,724. For phase 2, it was $375,653. And we felt that that was an appropriate fee for this type of a contract. Any concerns or questions?
Any questions?
Yeah. The trees, is that just drawing conceptual?
Uh,
Up here?
No, we like to bring our drawings, our conceptual drawings, pretty close to what's gonna happen. And then the architect has the opportunity and the responsibility to help us understand if we've made a mistake. And occasionally they correct us and help us design a better system. But we will lose some of the trees in that green area at Commons Park.
Yeah, but what about the ones that are drawn on there?
Oh, they're just
On it.
conceptual.
They're just concept, okay, yeah. Because I was gonna say, if you are, let's don't plant them this year.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We also will improve the sidewalking so that we can not only continue the sidewalk along the back here where the kids walk to school. We'll have a nice landscape buffer between our fence and the sidewalk.
And the sidewalk.
We'll also bring the sidewalk along this area and then down through the park this way so people can continue to make that loop that's so popular.
Well, isn't there a sidewalk there?
It's a gold medal mile.
Yeah, but there's also one that cuts through by the ball diamond.
Yes, right here. You can see right there.
Yeah.
And so we're looking to also make the connection this way so that they can go through here.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Or to the pickleball court. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thanks, Mr. Price, for presenting that. Steve Jackson. I think you're up for the next 2. First one is a bid award for the custom light service.
Yeah, I should have made it green for St. Patrick's Day, sorry.
Steve's got his green tie on
Yeah, apparently I don't know what day it is, so.
It's Thursday.
Yeah, it's Thursday. March Madness started, that's more important to me, so. Yeah, Custom Lighting Services, also known, or they do business as Black and McDonald in the city. We had a contract that for years was held by Hunt Electric to install all of our street lights. There's been some challenges with that, not only from a performance standpoint to get the lights in the time that we needed them in, but also the costs that were being charged, because the cost of materials just kind of skyrocketed on everybody. So we took a chance to reevaluate the contract, and then we issued a new street lighting contract to take care of our street light maintenance and installation. So Black and McDonald was the low bidder on this. There was 2 bids submitted. One was Cache Valley Electric and the other was Black and McDonald. There's multiple schedules to this project. The first one is the residential street light installation project that we've talked about previous, south of Cherry Lane, east of Fairfield Road, kind of west of Emerald here. And so that project consists of 22 residential streetlights that'll go in the regular SO2s that we have. The Schedule B is actually Gordon Avenue, the new section that was just recently completed, as well as all the way down to Emerald Drive. We're planning to install 17 SLO4 lights in this area. And then there would be additional lights in that area to the east once it develops after that US 89 project is finished. So the third schedule would be 25 arterial lights along our new Layton Parkway 2700 West between Gentile, West Davis Corridor, and 2200 West. We anticipate this will be able to happen pretty much when the road is opening, but it shouldn't impact if we can open the road as soon as we can get the rest of that pavement down. So, and then there are 3 additional bid schedules where we got unit pricing to help us with keeping up with the demand. So for new development, city projects, and then any maintenance we need, we got just individual unit pricing on those things, so that in the future, if we receive funding from you as part of a budget request, we can just go ahead and continue this project and keep moving these lights forward. So,
Are they willing to hold those prices?
yeah, they actually are. Black and McDonald is actually the former installation group for Rocky Mountain Power. They just recently had a change of contracts, and so they're really, this is their bread and butter, their specialty, and so they really know what it costs to put the lights in and take care of things.
They also have the access to get into the permission and whatnot to get into Rocky Mountain Power's lights and stuff, so we don't have to wait forever to get a
Yeah.
light bulb fixed or this or that. They've got the permits and whatnot to turn them on and off, and so that's gonna be a big deal too.
That's very good news,
Yeah.
actually. I think
Yeah,
all of us
they're a
can
big
pick up on that
company.
one.
We had a couple of interim projects where we bid them out, and Cache Valley and Black and McDonald both performed very well on the 2 that were a lot smaller that we had taken care of recently. So we're excited to have this new contract going forward, and like I say, they'll be able to provide those costs to us, and it'll let us really dial in what we expect to be paying for these lights going forward. So,
Good, very good.
are there any questions I can answer?
Kudos for looking where we can do better.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. That was good. So,
Easy one.
yeah.
This would be a record.
Is it on the presentation?
It's all, yeah, it's all.
Yeah, that's true. The next little could take a minute, but that's okay.
So then item number 4, just a quick update. Alex wanted me to kind of mention what we're doing with our secondary water partnerships. They're currently in place. We have a contract with Weaver Basin to operate their system. A lot of their system is up on the east side of Layton, kind of up in the 193 area, and then just kind of along that whole east bench area. Continuing that contract, it's been it's worked very well, I guess is what I can tell you on that one. We've had a great partnership with them. They work well with our maintenance crews and back and forth to help out where needed, and it seems to be a good decision that we've made there. I think we're on our 5th or 6th season operating that system, and like we mentioned yesterday, we're going to be slow to start that one up,
Obviously, we're waiting to hear from them as far as how much water we'll receive in that system, but, and then the second one, we just recently completed the agreement with Case Creek Irrigation. We've been diligently working through the paperwork on that one, let me say. A lot of shareholders that we're having to meet with get to come into the meetings with us, and Mason in the legal department has been probably doing most of the work, I'm gonna say, to be honest, and Stacy in my office, they're kind of spearheading this. There's a lot of documentation that we're taking care of. We're working to get a rate schedule together with Tracy to be able to present that to you guys as the council and get that moving forward. We anticipate operating that system this season as well. So Wes and our crews up at the public works shops are managing that and gearing up to start that system up at the same time as the Weaver Basin system. So in evaluating the budget requests, we've actually put in for some additional personnel to help with that system, approximately 2,500 additional customers that are going to be on that system and going forward, and so we're.
How are you gonna cover
off to
that
the
in
races.
between?
We got great people.
I know you do, and that's not, but I also know how
We will pull.
big that system is.
We'll pull people from other divisions to help out with the startup, and then I think we'll be able to manage that once the startup is done, so. Is there any, there's no question on that I'm aware of, is
No,
there?
you're perfectly right. We after Rough Eater to help Paul, we'll do it. We have a guy that works as our street soup, one of them that was a long time Case Creek user and worker and whatnot and understands. And I told him the other day, if we need to in certain situations, he'll do what we need him to do, and he's more than willing to do it.
Good.
Just be aware, it's a big thing taking this system on from a public works and maintenance standpoint. It is not just we absorb it and there's no problems. There's gonna be butt aches, there's gonna be personnel issues where we have to move people around. The system up in what used to be the old East Layton system is in people's backyards, side yards. We're gonna have to come up with projects as we go along to get the lines out in the street, because remember, everybody that has secondary has to be metered. Well, on most secondary systems, there's a water pit, just like your culinary, out in front of the house, not in the back of the house with some guy that built a shed over an easement he should never have done. There's going to be all kinds of situations, especially up east, that are going to be a nightmare, but.
Well, on Valley View side, you have 2 or 3 connections in one backyard though.
Yeah,
So
I know.
That's gonna be a little bit different than the
But
one house.
it's nothing we can't handle,
Yeah.
and we will.
Well, we
I'll
had,
get
we
down
had
in-
confidence before
I'll
we
get
even
down in a
started
hole
down that road.
if I have to. 46 years ago I did. Almost died under the driveway. OSHA would have killed us.
Okay,
And
well,
then-
thank you, I appreciate that, because I
Yeah.
know that that's a big task for us to take on, and knowing that you have, making sure that you have the personnel now, because, I mean, you're talking, we'll see, 45 days away maybe.
Yeah. And then if I could, just real quick, Terry mentioned the metering. We're working with Weaver Basin and Davis Weaver and some of the other big water users out there, secondary companies, to kind of see what kind of collaboration we can do for asking for this grant money. There's some $250 million approved for secondary meters. There's some water smart grants that we're getting ready to apply for. So hopefully we can collaborate and leverage this. I think the last number I heard is there's about 90,000 connections that need to be metered in Davis and Weaver County. So we're hoping to get a lot of that coming our way.
Do we know how many we have?
So right now, there's about 2,500 that need to be existing metered, and then we anticipate adding at least 2,000 more to this system, if not more, as we.
So 4,500, how much does it cost for 4,500 meters if we didn't have any grant funding?
About $6.5 million.
Yeah.
So the costs we are hearing are about $2,000 if it's in a front yard, and about $3,000 if it's in a backyard, and who knows with the prices of materials where we're gonna be, so.
Yeah,
So the meters that you're gonna buy, the meters are gonna be smart meters, I'm imagining?
Oh,
You
yeah.
drive by and are they gonna be able to transmit from their?
We would like to get on the
We're
AMI
working to
system,
that.
so.
So we can tie it into the Utopia, right? I mean, that was
Yeah.
really one of the
Yeah.
benefits with Utopia as well. just being able to-
We've got to take some stuff to Alex, but then we'll be back to the council to show you what, in the long run, we're working towards. We have a meeting Tuesday with him, so.
One of the stipulations of the law is that you have to be able to provide actual data to people, or you have to bill by the gallon. And so there's educational or components to getting this money that we're gonna have to meet, so.
And the system we're looking for is it'll get rid of meter readers. The meters will transmit to things that are on light poles, whatever. We'll go to Tracy. People can pull them up instantaneously and know their usage and whatnot, so.
Wow.
That's all that stuff I was talking about the other day.
Just
That'll be exciting when we can do that.
curiosity, so Terry, if
Yo.
you go in the back, if they're in the back,
Mm-hmm.
do you have to pull that out to the front?
Yeah, eventually we do. Originally, when we turn the system on, it's gonna take a while. If there's a leak in the backyard, if we can get our little mini X back there to do, but a lot of times it's gonna be hand dug and fix
Right.
the leak right then. But eventually Steve and his department are coming up with a plan to get the lines out in the road so we can get to the, like
Right.
culinary. You don't
Yeah.
want stuff in people's backyards.
Sure.
But up in East Layton, and I told Alex this a long time ago, and it still is today. When we annexed it in February 1st, 1981, it's nothing but a black hole. Nothing to do with the people,
Right.
but they had no standards. They've used asbestos pipe, plastic pipe, steel pipe, every kind of pipe except ductile pipe, which you should use, So when we get in those backyards to fix those secondary leaks, who knows what we're gonna find. So right away, that's what we're gonna be doing.
Right.
Eventually, we've got to try to get that part out in the road so we don't have those
Eventually,
kind
yeah,
of
but
problems.
your job right now is to make sure the line doesn't leak wherever it goes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
We don't care about their yards.
Well, we do. We do. If
Yeah.
they planted shrubs and trees,
Well,
we'll
yeah.
try to work around it, but
Right.
there's easements. That's the one thing they do have, but
Right.
that part of town, East Layton was an old
Right.
town, kind of like Bayview, Holt, Diamond Hills,
Yeah.
those type areas, and so, that system up there is, I would,
It's a Mod Podge.
yeah, I'd rather talk to my ex-wife than figure out how we're gonna do some of that stuff, and I haven't done that in a
Because you're
couple of
only gonna
years.
have,
Word for word.
you got 3 people, right?
Yes,
I mean, once you hire.
yes, to do that, but if we have to, we'll
Oh.
draw from the other
No, I
water
understand.
people.
I'm just saying,
Yes,
yeah, you're gonna have to do a lot of drawing, because 3 people ain't gonna,
yeah, it's an old,
yeah,
we'll get it though.
I know.
We'll get it. We'll program our replacements of the lines to
No, I
to
understand.
coincide with the road reconstructions we're
Yeah,
doing.
you're right, originally, we take over the system, we turn it on, and wherever there's a leak on it, that's our baby
Yeah,
now,
that's right.
And there will be every year.
and that's fine.
Your sprinklers.
Yeah.
It's your house.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, we appreciate it.
Probably goes without saying, but for years and years, we talked about these possibilities that it was always, because of what we already knew about the system, that we never recommended the city take this over. And because it just, there's so many headaches that like, I'm bragging a little bit about the city, all of us, right? That the benefit is so much more than the headache, right? When you think about water, And the city's had a history of doing that, being proactive and taking on things that you logically look at and say, that's a big black hole, that's gonna be a real problem, but what was the upside? And the upside's always driven that, and then, of course, the circumstances now are even making that more apparent for the city to have the ability to provide this system in partnership with other companies, you know, to really provide water, good quality water, efficient water, long-term, if Mother Nature will do her part, in the long term, and not leave it to chance to try to take control of it to the extent you can. And this is a prime example of it, but these guys will, you know, they'll do a good job, and it'll work. It'll be a lot of work, but nobody will ever know. But it'll get done well.
We just connected the reservoirs. Is that, when's that project?
They're, can I speak to that? It's in this CIP.
Yeah, we've
And there's
actually.
some that we're going on right now. Coordination with Horse Creek.
Yeah, we're coordinating with Holmes Creek on their line, but we do have 3 projects that we put in the CIP list now to try and get those reservoirs connected and run a line out Gordon Avenue to kind of create this backbone trunk line, you'll call it, for the system. So we'll see some funding requests this year, next year, and the year after for quite a bit. I guess this is a number I'll tell you. So.
Yeah, quite a bit.
Who supplies the secondary metering, like the actual meter?
So there's multiple companies. Weaver Basin uses Census as the brand name. We're looking at using the Master Meter brand because that's the culinary brand that we have. And we feel like if we can keep it as one system, it might be beneficial, but
I guess
certainly.
my concern is just you have a state mandate by a certain time frame. You have basically forcing the entire state into a market, and there's only so many people that supply them.
Yeah.
So how, I mean, are we gonna buy all of them at the beginning because we have no idea what the price will be, or do we do it piecemeal? I mean, I don't expect you to answer that, but I
Let me
just worry about
speak to that.
the
Yeah,
cost.
we're hoping to be able to get that taken care of, and Terry talked with them as
I
well.
went
so.
down to a conference, but it was the last few years, the conference down in Squat. I've already got my CEUs. The reason I've gone down is because originally, and I don't know how many years ago, Alex, when we bonded and changed and went out and changed all our residential meters, Master Meter was the company, they're out of Texas. Their parent company's in Israel. And they were the ones that came in and gave the city a good price, a good warranty, good service. I can buy a meter off of anybody, okay, for pretty much the same price. These guys will be lower, they have a better meter, but it's the service and the warranty that makes it. And their service and warranty, and I've grown to know the top echelon of them, they were replacing meters for us that had 3 to 5 year warranties, and we had them out of warranty by 6 or 7 years, and they replaced them under warranty. So I met with the national sales manager a week or 2 ago, I can't remember, and had a good meeting with him, and they're very cognizant of Layton City. They were one of the first people that took a chance on changing the meters out, and it's been good for both sides. And we'll get our meters. Layton City will not get tied up with a thing that's going to slow us down and we can't meet the deadline, okay? If we get a good price and good warranty and good service, and it's not what Weaver Basin's doing, I don't give a crap, okay?
Sure.
We'll get what's best for Layton, and we'll make sure that they can supply all the meters that we need at a fair price with good service and warranty before the deadline comes. We won't let anybody slow us up.
Well, I like the idea that it's what we have already, so that it is all inclusive, same products, so you guys aren't having to do multiple different suppliers for products out there. And once your maintenance guys are on it, they know how to deal with it.
But there are some other components like the meter pits and things like that we might be able to leverage some economies of scale on and take care of.
So we have, I think there are 3 or 4 different water suppliers, secondary water suppliers, or 3?
Yeah, there's
For
3
the
pressurized
city.
and then a 4th that does flood irrigation.
So we have residents that will be affected by this.
Yeah.
We're gonna have for the Case Creek, Layton City will buy those meters. But you got the Davis Weaver Canal Company and you've got, what was the other one? Is
Well,
it
so Weaver Basin and
Weaver
then
Basin?
Holmes
Holmes
Creek,
Creek.
but they're
If-
not pressurized yet.
So, I guess I'm talking about the pressurized going to people's homes. We'll be taking care of the, hopefully, the meters for the residents of Case Creek. But these other groups, so Davis Weaver Canal Company, the residents of Layton City, what's there, they're gonna just pass, if they don't get a grant, if they don't get the funding, they just.
Sorry, Rick's missing.
Oh,
He's
there he is. So guys, I guess,
You're probably doing the same thing, aren't you, Rick?
Yeah.
You're looking to apply and.
so my question is, if they don't, they don't, our residents get, because they're
Well,
free,
it'd be-
you're not gonna give that to them for free.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so how,
We're all in the same boat together.
so would it make sense to get together and we're gonna
That's-
buy all the meters?
That's
and-
what we're trying to
Okay.
figure out right now.
All right.
Weaver Basin's kind of pulling this group together. We feel like making applications as a group is probably more beneficial for all of us to,
Okay, that was-
to bring in 90,000 and say, we're all going in this together, this is our plan, rather than each one of us trying to
Yep, good,
piecemeal
okay.
it. So we're trying to leverage it and trying to get as much money to the north end of the state as we
Right.
can.
To get those grants and to have them come this way though, they don't dictate what product you buy, okay?
Right.
That just gets us the money, then it's up to the cities to do their due diligence and do what they do to get the best for their system and their people.
We appreciate your personal relationships. Very helpful.
Well, trust me, I don't get anything out of it. They offer me a hat and I wouldn't wear their hats to mow the lawn. They're horrid.
We're glad you survived the driveway incident.
Glad to have you, Terry.
So, this begs a question, and since Rick's here as well, knowing that we're under a time frame to put these meters in, and yet you got several ditch users as well, even though, how in the heck are you gonna meter that? Because you got individual users still, primarily out west, well, and some east. Rick?
So it's only off the pressure system is what the
Yeah.
requirement is.
Correct.
Yeah, you don't have to meter its users.
Farmers.
You'll just cut us back 40%. Okay, got it. But I'm sure that, I guess as the groups are together, are you guys talking about that at all? Going
In what
forward,
sense, the restrictions?
as far as eventually pressurizing that, because I'm pretty sure the state's gonna go that way. You can see that, you can see that coming next.
I don't really depend on the flood irrigators and
Correct.
evolution of urbanizing the area.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a tall enough order just to get these meters in the ground that we gotta focus on that. They're putting 500 to 1,500 in a year in some of these systems, and if you do the math, you can't do that in 8 years to get the whole systems pressurized, so, or metered, so.
Yeah, well,
It's
I'm
gonna
sure
be
that's
quite
gonna be
a-
right behind it though.
To Zach's point, it's gonna be quite an interesting little while here.
Okay.
And let me say about my East Lane comment too, in no way am I bad mouthing what used to be old East Layton City, okay? But they never had anything in their city boundaries or that they could annex that would ever give them the commercial, industrial, those type things that would generate a tax base for them, okay? We didn't gobble them up. They finally came to us and said, will you annex us? Because basically all we've got is residential. And regardless of what people think about residential, you look at your taxes and 70% of it or so goes to the school district, and by the time you get what the city is, it's not a real money maker like all our car lots and restaurants and stuff. And I have a lot of friends up there, and they're good people, good homes, whatnot, but their utilities were just, and I'll be quiet after this one, their version of sanding streets was Junior Green driving a truck with Shores, right, Scott? You know where I'm going.
Yeah, Shorty, yeah.
With Shorty Adams standing in the back of it with a square nose shovel, throwing it out. Now, how's that for risk management, Mr. Steve? Seriously, am I lying?
Not lying.
It's okay. His
Watched him do it several times.
Yeah. So in no way am I bad mouth, it was just inevitable, and I wrote a letter. We all were supposed to write letters if we wanted it or not. Of course, naturally, I said we didn't because of the costs that were coming for the utilities and whatnot, but that didn't stand.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, let's move on. Because we've got two important gentlemen sitting behind over here that's gonna update us.
What important?
Well, we know Brad's gonna
I turned
update
under
us
the
on the
bus,
fire
so I figured I
station.
better come support him.
Well, you might as well be up here too, you're part of it.
He's just hit me.
You know what
more.
this is, Brad. You might wanna tell us about what the fire department used to like. All volunteer, right?
They might not wanna hear.
I remember.
So Brad's a battalion chief, as you know, and does a great job at that and has a lot of construction experience on the private side, done a lot of things, and so Brad's usually our, through the years, kind of go-to guy to manage contractors. He understands the language and the approach and all kinds of things, does a great job.
Thanks, Alex.
Scott as well, but they're
Yeah.
great employees.
So I got asked by the boss, thrown under the bus, to update, so I put this together, I don't have a presentation because I don't even know what PowerPoint is. So the paper, we'll just move through. As you're aware, a couple new faces, we issued construction contract in July of '21. Some of the exclusions in it were dirt, construction fill, structural fill, permits, because we really had no idea what was going on. Once we started construction, the grades were off a little bit because of the ramp, which, you know, that's the way it goes. And then we had a geotechnical engineer come in, we dug some test holes and found, it's called stratification of soils. It's been a dump for years, nothing that we really knew about. The engineer was super concerned about its seismic stability. So working with the original design, the dirt work was about $500,000 was our quote to get it. We don't want the fire station to fall over in a shaker. So Hogan Construction, XL Engineering, which is the civil engineer, most importantly, Steve Jackson, Alan McKean, and Shannon, myself, and Hogan. Spent a lot of time, we adjusted the grade, we dropped it, shifted it, moved it, but we got that cost down to $310,000.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, so, that's done. A little bit on the next one with the unbudgeted on permits and everything. The North Davis Sewer District would not waive their impact fee of about $36,000. Everybody else did, so that was a cost that's a little bit additional. That's all I'll say. You involve me with North Davis Sewer District, I say bad words. Alex was with me once, so I'll stop.
Okay, that'll be good.
Just to catch you up on the notable items, we pre-piped most of the utilities before the contract was even issued. Steve, Alan, Doug O'Brien especially, so we brought in all of the conduits under 190, or Valley View, so we didn't have to dig the road up again. Doug's been just an ace in the hole up there for us. He stays up there. Part of that, the sewer line, during the upgrade of 89, they ended up pouring a brand new sewer line under, but it was like 24 feet deeper than the other one. So Doug talked them into bringing our sewer up so we didn't have to dig down 35 feet to connect it, which saved us a lot of time and effort, money especially. The water main coming out of the new Valley View tank didn't have a valve for a long ways. So basically, if we had any issue with the tank, way west of 89, our station was out of water. Most of everything on Valley View was out of water. So Doug O'Brien got in with them, they redesigned from the civil engineer. We took a few lines out and added a great big 12-inch valve right there, which is a big deal for the future for the city. And we ended up, it's a wash financially. So that was all worked out with our engineering.
That's a big one though.
There's a lot of big ones, and it adds up a lot, like the next one,
No, meaning benefit.
the huge benefit.
It's
Yeah,
more
we
of a
like, we like to
benefit.
have water
That's a huge
at all
benefit.
times at the fire
You
station.
didn't want your fire station to not have water and to crash in an earthquake?
We
Probably
have
not the
a
best.
couple of
thing for
good things, a few
fire
other
station.
we'll get to, yeah, exactly.
You want everything?
Yes. You're aware of the Valley View tank, that's an underground. We had a half a mountain of dirt at the time, it's structural rated fill. We ended up spreading that, compacting it on the lot, and so I didn't take a measurement, but civil engineer said you were looking about 200,000 in fill that we put out there that we didn't have to buy. So back to especially Steve's group and Terry's group, we work pretty well together, super mindful of funding. And with us, we've had a lot of time to design the station. I mean, I've had this drawn for 2 years, so we try to think of as much as we can up front. Current status, next page. The site is built to grade. The seismic is all taken care of. We dug upwards of 21 feet of dirt out in some places, recompacted in 1 foot lifts with a geotechnical engineer doing compaction tests every foot. And he signed off on everything. That's done to, I don't remember the numbers. Steve would probably know the seismic requirements for that area, and we're 1 level higher. Again, with the fire station, we're gonna over-engineer it. All the utilities are in, footings and foundation are in. This upgrade's done. Basically, we're getting real close to pouring a floor. The framing's scheduled for April 4th. If you drive by there, it looks like a lumber yard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff up there.
Did they forward buy on that to make sure?
Forward bought almost everything, yeah. So that,
And there again, hats off to you coordinating with the contractor.
yeah, Hogan.
Make sure Hogan knows that we appreciate that.
Hogan does, they've been, right on, we're wonderful to work with. The superintendent and myself get along super well, and we had a bit of a hiccup when that whole dirt thing was some miscommunication. That's all fixed, so things are moving super well.
But, that bodes well though, if they had the financial ability to forward buy that much material and make sure it's there on site before you guys start.
Yeah, well,
That's.
it benefited them, and we did get the best contracts, but those of you that knew, we did, in the first thing, this is a guaranteed maximum price contract at the time.
Yeah.
So it benefited them, and I don't have to explain what prices have done. And one of the reasons lumber's up there early is they kind of bought in a trough. And now it's actually more expensive than it was in May.
Yeah.
So everything, all the pipes bought, all of our heating units, there were some things there that we're gonna take upwards of 18 months to get. So all of our HVAC units are sitting in Centerville in the warehouse. All the plumbing fixtures are there. The steel roofing is setting at MBCI in Salt Lake in their lot, tagged Layton City. And again, the big thing for me is the financial condition of the city and how it's maintaining those. We can forward buy things, not just with our buildings, but equipment with our apparatus and dump trucks and everything else. It's gonna cost us a lot more money 2 months from now, and we're able to buy that, so we appreciate it from the council. We haven't had any supply chain hiccups at this point, not really anticipating any, and that's super big deal right now. Other business I'm pretty familiar with, I have friends that have houses sitting done that can't get a garage door. They're waiting 2 months for lumber packets, and that's going on today. So it's a pretty big deal.
In that house.
Windows.
And then the last sentence there is we continue, we're not done. That dirt thing we got shaved a lot of money out, almost 200,000. The architects snuck in some things in there and finished it. We're adjusting. We had a door system in there that I've taken out that saved $30,000 just by switching door brands and taking the door out, putting windows in its place. Right now, big things we're looking on floor finishes. They have epoxy floors in the bays. We're gonna just go to a sealed floor. Meets the same intent, but it's gonna save a lot of money. So, if you flip through, there's some pictures, I put some captions, we don't have to go, that first picture really emphasizes the stratification of soils, and that's just the last one, and we had 3 of those levels. So, for simple, if you have an earthquake, they just shake, and it'll just shear the, whatever's above it, and there were 3 different layers of that. We knew there was 1, didn't know there was 2.
So does the liquefaction come into play up in that
No
area?
liquefaction, no, the type of soils is there's so much rock in there.
Right.
But as explained to me, and Steve can do better, is it's almost like a rolling landslide on a mountain because of the rock in it. And if you don't mix that stratification, just expect that whole top layer to just slide off. And everything's mixed. The next page, a couple of things, it shows them throwing and then the roller pressing it. So again, every foot intermountain testing would come out. Next page, that's a shot from this morning, so that's pretty up to date. Your floors, pipes, you can see they're getting real close to corner floor. They have underfloor plumbing inspection scheduled for the end of this week. Insulation around the walls. The last page, little bit of reference. The blue stacks are the plywood, but when we shifted the station north and dropped it a little bit, that up in here is, now we have a little bit of a hill. So once we get farther along, we pulled enough boulders out of there, we may do some landscape bouldering just to keep the steepness of the slope off. Last thing, it's not on here, but collaboratively, we're working with state fuel. So as you're aware, we just put a big tank in at the parks. They're super expensive. Typically, we have to buy it and then turn it over to state fuel. And I'm working with them right now. We're trying to get a portion of them to pay for it, and it's moving okay. But we're working on that to save some bucks too. So, any questions about anything? It's going super well. We anticipate original contract was July. They asked for 70 days with that dirt thing, which is, so we're just looking at, sometime September, October. The weather's been really well for us. It's not held us up too much.
So a question, when you talk about that epoxy floor and the fact that you removed that from the original bid, then does that price reduction come down in the original bid? I mean,
Yeah, it's like the door thing. So they give us budget credits, and we keep track of all that. The architect provides financial oversight, and so every time I turn a drawing in for something, it's like itemized. And then as it gets closer to the end, then we'll sit down with Alex and we'll go over the bottom line, and then we got to figure out whatever we need to do to get it running. The furnishings and a few things to go in there. Anything that comes up, one extra that will come up, it's not a lot of money, but we have to put a tower there for radios, and they'll tell you you have to do it, much like metering, but they don't help you with the cost.
As a state.
Yeah.
We pre-piped all that, we pre-wired it, I have all the conduits put in for them, so we're pouring the heavy pad. Basically, we have to buy the pole, which Paul Pitts has already taken care of, not a drug of money, but that's all we've put pre-pipes out, conduits with power and data, so we can put a cell tower, or at some point, if the parks puts a building over on that south side, we went ahead and we're pre-conduiting that, so we don't have to tear parking lots out, putting the yard up. It's not a lot of money for us to do it up front.
Right.
We're jumping out some conduit jacks just because they'll already be outside the building and marked. But I don't know 20 years from now what's going to be needed by the city. So hopefully we have it minimize the cost then.
That's the advantages of having someone like you who's been in this business before and knows what it's like to just have those pipes in there just in case.
Yeah, one of the few things that I can be helpful in, so it's
No, we appreciate it.
Yeah,
No, it's great. It really is.
Well, I've done it my whole life, so this is no, nothing.
Well, it's nice that you're the commander too.
Yeah,
I mean,
he is.
so,
Well, the commander's gone. That's why him and I are here, so. But
whatever you are.
Yeah, I'm the utility player.
Yeah.
I'll do whatever I'm told.
You mentioned that you bought lumber ahead and bought some of this equipment ahead. What about the firefighting equipment, the breathing apparatuses, those sorts of things? What's that supply chain looking like?
we're mostly shifting stuff.
So it's just,
Yeah, we'll have a couple of items that we'll discuss with the city manager, but we have to, the air packs, we just have to buy whatever for that station, which is 4, I believe. That's not my lane, but everything else is being bought, the fire truck that's been authorized. We could have opened without, but we need replacements, so we don't have to buy anything further major to open, if that helps answer. Yeah, all we're doing, we have enough stuff spread around, and we can maintain everything. The ambulance that is being funded, we're good. Yeah, we're more than good. The new fire truck is gonna be, that's the key. You know, that all ties in with the paramedic in Davis County. We're way busier. You saw we're up 10, 12, 14% a year. And with that comes miles, and you don't wanna see the fuel report for the month. It's like, it's just crazy. You know,
I do.
Yeah, I see, I'm looking at Scott over there, because it's like, yeah, I
get
know
to see
somebody
it.
who has to watch it.
Well, it's just the costs, inflation, I have zero idea where they're coming up with 7.5% because those numbers, I'm not very smart, but I'm leaning to 20 or 30% with what we do and I do at home. So it's like Terry brought up perfectly, we're gonna get it done, we'll find a way. Any other questions?
Thank you.
No, thank you very much, and again, extend our appreciation to all those involved with this project. This will be a nice one to have done, to service that whole east side and to help with the response time out there on the west. So that's good. Okay.
You made it.
We have one more item on our agenda, which Chad's gonna present for us.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just want to talk a little bit about a program that we've been asked to consider. This is the CPACE program. That's what that acronym stands for, Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy Act. This is the authorizing legislation through state law. In a nutshell, it's a program that allows commercial property owners to apply for an alternate financing method so they can install things like solar power, other energy saving type improvements. This is something that we've had one of our local commercial property owners that has shown some interest in. So the company that runs this for the state, that's the contractor for the state on this, has approached us and asked us to consider adopting this so that they can use that program for that business. Again, it's all voluntary. It's an assessment-based form of financing. It's long-term. The reason this is an advantage for these folks is that they can amortize those costs over a long time. It takes that interest rate down, gives them the ability to pay that over a longer term than what a commercial loan would be. Again, the end goal there is lower energy costs and getting some of those energy improvements that otherwise maybe a development wouldn't be considering. This is just a quick example. I'm not going to go through each of these numbers, but this is the important number right here. Is with those, replacing that mezzanine loan with this, you're going to have a 6.13% rate on that rather than that 15%. So that takes that weighted average of your cost of capital down quite a bit for these folks in financing those types of improvements. These are the types of properties that are eligible. Any kind of commercial property, really, industrial, healthcare, nonprofit. You can see an example of the types of improvements that can be financed through this. Renewable energy, battery storage, seismic upgrades. That's not really energy related, but it is part of this program. They can do some of those seismic upgrades to their buildings if they need to. This is the long form of what I'm about to show you, but this is really what we're talking about. The owner or the owner and the capital provider will negotiate the financing. They'll come to the city and ask us to create this energy assessment area. The city places a lien on the property. That's the end of our involvement in that. We levy that assessment. At the exact same time that that's happening, we turn it over to the third party, and we're done. We don't do any kind of administration of this loan. That would go through this third party that we're authorizing to collect and enforce the responsibilities. The lender indemnifies the city and county from any further action, and then that owner receives that financing and is able to complete the project. So that's really the short version of that sheet that I had on there before. This is a program that I think is is something that will be a benefit to these properties. We've met several times with the representatives of the company that would administer this. It requires that the council adopt by resolution, essentially a parameters resolution that authorizes, first of all, an agreement, a services agreement with that company. And then second of all, it authorizes the city manager or designee to administer our portion of this program, so that we can expedite these types of applications.
So what, I guess I'm kind of lost. Why do they need us in the first place? Because of the different kinds of energy, or?
We had the same questions, that's okay, yeah.
Okay.
We met with them for a long time. The answer to that is the state has decided that the cities are the ones that have the authorization to create these assessment districts and these liens on the property. Once that's done, we don't have any responsibility on it at all. But we have the same question. I think it's that special, it's that you're essentially creating an assessment area on one property or two or whatever the case may be. But that's something that the city or county, based on the state law, that we have to do. But that's our only involvement in that, so.
The lady that did the presentation, when we asked that question, she just not like each other. She had the same thought. Doesn't make sense logically because you end up with a private party provider anyway, but she said that's just the way the state passed the legislation. So we saluted and said, okay, so that makes sense.
So there was a bill passed last legislative session about cities not being able to ban certain types of energy, natural gas being one of them. This doesn't affect any of that being.
So these resolutions will come up whenever somebody wants to do this?
Yeah,
So it's not an ordinance saying anybody can go, these are the rules, it's a case-by-case resolution?
Well, no, there'll have to be a resolution each time we do it, yeah, but the resolution will be, because what we're proposing is that the city manager or designee is the one that would be administering that resolution would be adopted by the select board and apply to that property. Your resolution tonight is authorizing the city manager or designee to administer the program for the city.
The SRS can't make the loans work with them unless the city has given their approval that people within our jurisdiction have access to this program. That's what this resolution is about.
And
we don't think there'll be a lot of them. They're based on the lady that visited with us, who seemed very knowledgeable and competent about it. But it's not like you're going to have 15, 20 applications. There's special application. Summit County, there's quite a few in Summit County. There's quite a few down in Moab. There's quite a few in the Salt Lake Valley. One here and one there. And because it's more expensive to put in these energy saving technologies. Mm-hmm. And so this is an incentive for people to be willing to do that.
Yeah, the main incentive is that long-term financing, and it takes that interest rate so far down for them. So it does incentivize that a little bit. We anticipate a few. We do have somebody right now who's interested in doing this, and potentially it also gives SRS the ability to essentially market this as an option to folks that want to put in these types of energy saving improvements in their building. And SRS, by the way, they are the state selected administration company for this program. So they're the only ones. We don't have a choice to adopt somebody else to do this for us. So.
They have that same position in several of the states too, as I recall.
Yeah.
So they're not just doing Utah, they're in several of the states. So they kind of found a niche here, and I don't know if they're the only ones doing it. Do you remember how many states had this? Was it 27 or?
I wanted to say 30, if I remember, yeah.
It's quite a few. But
any other questions? That's it in a nutshell.
Just the ignorance. So do they have the ability to use power? And this is an extra type, so it's.
Yeah, this would be totally voluntary. They could still be on the grid if they wanted to.
Right,
Yeah.
and then they could still have solar or whatever, okay.
And one thing to keep in mind is it is energy efficiency, but it also, if someone had a seismic upgrade they wanted to do, they could take advantage of the program for that as well.
Right.
and they do have standards, as I recall. You can't come in and say we're going to put in, typical power and one solar panel. I'm just making that up, right?
Yeah.
There's got to be a demonstrator. They go through a very extensive application process, and SRS says, do you qualify? Because it has to generate so much savings, and they look, as opposed to these kind of appliances, you went this, and that, okay, that check, that meets it. So it's not just, it's pretty hard for the system to be manipulated, and to get access to the funds and not actually, and I think they do audits on the back end to say, okay, this is what you put in, now we're gonna audit on the back end, make sure what you said was gonna happen did happen, and that verifies it, or they've run the risk of losing funding. So it's pretty strenuous.
It is, and SRS does all the vetting of these projects up front, so the staff time doesn't have to be set. We'll still want to review their work and their recommendation, but they'll do all that initial application.
What about on the inspection? So are we responsible for the inspection?
Just the regular building permit inspection, yeah.
Not on the energy efficiency,
Yeah,
SRS
I was
has their
gonna
own
say that's a whole different
engineers, they've got professional people that are similar to our inspectors that are focusing just on this, and they have to meet that standard for the fund. It doesn't affect their building permit on our side.
Yeah, we'll still have to do building inspections for them, and there'll be a, on something like a battery storage, there'll be a building permit, electrical permit for that.
So why would we not want to do this? What's an argument against wanting to do this as a city? I mean, I'm just trying to figure out our interest.
We spent several months actually with meetings with these folks, just trying to make sure we understand. We couldn't see any reason why, our role is so limited. We because of state law, we have to create that assessment district and put a lien on the property, but then we are completely uninvolved after that, so.
Can you go back to the statute?
Yeah.
Because right underneath where it says levies an energy assessment lien and approves the final interest rate, price, principal amount, maturities, redemption features, and other terms of the energy assessment bonds. So I was just curious about what that entails for us, because that's saying that's our governing body's authority to. So you would be what Alex is doing after the assessment lien has been placed, proving whatever. Who's coming up with all of that?
That's SRS, through that application process. Our role would be to then, give the final approval of that, but they do all the work to set those rates and things.
So that's what, again,
Let's see, they've been looking at this for months. We've only seen this for just a couple of.
Well,
They're gonna end up saying SOS instead of SRS.
I think what I mentioned someplace in there, that the idea would be if you have a development you're doing and you are interested in this, then you may contact the city and we would divert you and say, okay, you need to work with Ms. Petro at SRS. And so you have SRS, the lenders that have signed up to participate in this program and the applicant, and they would be working through that. And I think what it's saying that you correct me if I'm misstating this, so I think we're not coming up with that data as the city. They're doing it and they're bringing that as a package to us. And we're saying, yes, we approve.
I guess that was my question as to how would you know if that was right or not? Because you're not coming up with any of the information.
We'd be relying on SRS.
You would just be basically saying, okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't.
It just seems to put the final say on us to approve that when we're not the ones that come up with any of the documentation. So the idea that we wouldn't have any staff time beyond the lien, we would actually have to go through that to make sure that we're not just trusting SRS to do things the right way.
Well, yeah, I think to some degree, supposedly there's legal structures around it, that protect the city. There's no recourse back on the city for anything. So really what we'd be doing is saying, yeah, if the applicant, the lender, and SRS have come to an agreement on these terms, then the city would probably more likely, I don't think we're going to ask a lot of questions and say, well, we know better than you do.
Yeah.
But because all the downside is all on them.
It's a typical statute that requires the city to approve something and then indemnifies the city
Right.
for any decisions that they make.
I won't say what I'm going to say, but this is consistent, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make sense, and
It's just circular.
it's made a lot more difficult by the legislation, but there's no ability to change it, and it's all the questions you're asking, we went around the table a bunch of times, like, why are we doing this?
This levy that we're levying, how much is that?
It's set by this process, yes.
And if they don't do what they're supposed to do, the city, normally.
We're indemnified, we don't have any.
Yeah, we impose the lien and turn it over to the lender, so the lender has all the enforcement ability, they stand in our shoes to do that.
I know,
Because that's-
the lender should be handling it, but
My guess is that they had to have some municipal authority
It's
to
that
place the
area.
lien.
That's exactly why, yeah, because we're the only
Because a
government
private
entity
party
that
can't
impose a
do
lien
that.
that's legally binding and recorded against the property.
These are the three pieces that are important there, that we have to adopt that energy assessment area, so we create that assessment area. We levy that, the lien, but immediately, once we've done those things, it's concurrent.
So what's the lien for then for that's,
It's for the special assessment district.
Probably for
Yeah.
performance, right?
yeah, I'm just
What the
wondering.
amount
Yeah, what the amount, what
that they had.
The loan amount
Three
or
parties
the-
that come up.
Yeah,
Yeah, loan
Yeah.
amount, yep.
they have to pay that back.
So it's amortized over that 20 to 30-year period. That's that amount, yeah.
Like, I should have read the statute more, but
Who ran this bill?
is the indemnification after we approve, or is it before?
Look back on it.
Concurrent, yeah, it happens at the same time. Yeah, we adopt the levy, and concurrently that's assigned to a third-party lender.
This is, again, we're not trying to be overly champions of it. What we've looked at is kind of part of the discussion that was yesterday, is you have a tool here and a tool there, a little thing here, a little there. This won't apply to a lot of businesses, but there may be somebody that wants to do something energy efficient, and this just incents them a little bit to do it. At least we have a program where a lot of people use it. We also, once we're in, we can get out. You know, as we start to have practical experience with it, if we find out this not worth it, the headache, or
What would that be?
I think we could just, that's the solution to get out, right?
I'm just thinking, what would that perform when we, like?
Well, we gotta do a resolution every time,
But what would they not,
per project.
what would they not accomplish in this for us to say, yeah, it's just a bad idea, we shouldn't be doing this?
I think if we find out that there's a lot of staff time involved, that we are spending
For
more
us.
time.
Yeah, for us, I'm saying,
Or
we can say,
SR.
we're not gonna sponsor the program anymore, thank you, because it wasn't what they represented, so, again, we're trusting in them, and they seem very professional, the lady that presented it, and her experience, and we asked all these questions, and, you know, her representation was, this has worked well, it's a niche thing, and talked about, I can't remember, but some of the big projects that are taking place in Salt Lake.
Yeah,
and
there's,
Moab,
Summit
Summit
County has quite a few as well.
It's really been a key between developing and not developing, because they can get to 6% versus the market.
Yeah.
And I said, well, why, if you get a loan, if you're the lender, and you can charge 13%, why would you agree with 6%? And it's because of that, they know they're gonna get paid because of the lien and the assessment. So even though it's less money, it's gonna run out more years, but there's a much higher, much less risk of default, right? Because they have that extra layer of protection that a private company can't impose. So we just think it's maybe a tool surgically used for economic development opportunities. Somebody that wants to go above the standard and set a standard, you know, it's maybe like water-wise landscaping, somebody stepping ahead, and it costs more to do it, but it's the right thing to do. And so if you get a few examples, maybe it'll follow. But we wouldn't be supporting it if we felt like that it was going to be a headache. We just don't know because we don't have experience with it, other than what other people have.
So for the actual process, approving this resolution allows you or designee to be the one who receives these projects moving forward.
Yeah.
And then you would be essentially having a resolution each time there's a project that.
That's right.
It allows us to facilitate it, coordinate it, review their information, then we bring those resolutions back to you for XYZ company wants to use it. These are the parameters, et cetera, et cetera. They have to have a point person. We feel like there's better staff to do that than the mayor trying to track down a signature or something and say, yeah, this is fine, but all those will get brought back to you in the resolutions, right?
Well, the resolution as written, the resolution authorizes you or designee to move those resolutions forward. So it wouldn't come back to the council.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was asking.
Okay.
Okay.
And those would be recorded somewhere. I mean, everything else that comes here is online.
Against the property.
It's recorded.
And that goes back to that, I won't beat this too much more, but that goes back to that, we adopt the parameters resolution tonight, and then that allows the, whoever that is, whoever the designee, the authority to execute an energy assessment resolution ordinance.
Okay, is that good?
Perfect.
All
If
right.
there's any other questions?
Have any other questions? Anything tonight?
Again.
Heavy last 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Sure. I mentioned yesterday about this, the Davis Education Foundation. So this is the invite, so I guess what I'm saying is,
No, you keep.
save the date for June 8th, that evening. Or take a picture of it, June 8th, yeah. And it's it'll be down at the Megaplex Theater.
Can I get a?
Sure. Just so you guys know.
If that's the designer.
That's right.
Remember? Can change one. So, following our conversation.
Well, I just want you guys to know the date, save it, and then we'll work on.
So, I just told you.
Who's it benefiting again?
Davis Education Foundation, and then our youth calls it will, our youth resource center.
I'm serious. I think when something drops off.
Guys, we're good.
Out there on the
welcome everyone out to our Layton City Council meeting this evening. It is 7 p.m. We are actually starting on time this week, so I love it. And also, I'm excited to see all the folks out in the audience here. And as customary, we start all of our meetings with a pledge and a prayer, and we take turns here upon the council as far as conducting that on a monthly basis. And this month, it's Councilmember Bloxham's turn, so I will have him go ahead and start the meeting.
If you please rise and we'll recite the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our Father in heaven, we're grateful for this day to meet together as a body of Layton City, and we're grateful to have many friends with us in the audience. We're grateful to live in the country that we live and the freedoms that we have. We ask you to please bless us with thy spirit as we discuss the business of our citizens today, that we may be able to have keen minds and that we may have discussions that will better all of those who live within our city's boundaries. We ask you to please bless those who are in times of need and bless those in war-torn areas, that they may find peace and that there may be peace in the world. We say and ask these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Okay, thank you, Councilman. Okay, Council, happy St. Patty's Day. With that, we have several sets of minutes that we need to adopt. Is there any corrections or changes to the minutes? If not, I will look for a motion on all four sets. So whoever wants to make the motion, would you please read them out? Yeah, just go ahead and read them.
I move that we approve the minutes of Layton City Council meetings for January 6th, 2022, January 20th, 2022, February 3rd, 2022, and February 17th, 2022, as presented.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt all the minutes as stated. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Oh, I failed to mention, we do have a full council, a full quorum here. We have Councilmember Tyson Roberts, who's actually online and is listening at this time. So I just want to acknowledge him as well. Item number 2 on our agenda is our municipal announcements. And I know we got a couple of them there. So Mr. Thomas, do you want to start first?
Yeah, in lieu of Councilman
Roberts
gone, I'll take care of some things. In the parks and in the recreation program that we have in the city, March is surf and swim, wear your green on Friday, tomorrow. So if you wear your green, you get in for a couple bucks off. March, sorry, I can't read very well, but some people require glasses and I forgot mine. So family night at the library, that's Friday night. It's free. It's from 6:30 to 8:30. If you haven't been there, it's a riot. Take your kids. They have people reading books to them. They do some fun stuff. I've done it for a long time, and it's always been fun.
And our ducks are dressed appropriately down here for the Dr. Seuss. So if you, for
Whatever
anybody,
you say.
no, they do a great job dressing them up.
Yeah. In April, they have the Easter egg dive at the pool and game night. It's on the 11th. It's $2 a child and under 14. That's always fun too. So that's a couple things. And then if you've got children, there's a lot of things that are going on to sign up for. So you don't want to miss that. They got baseball, softball, all kinds of stuff. So you don't want to miss that now and start thinking about it in April and it's too late. So I should do her.
Okay, thank you.
And I do have a couple of announcements also. The 1st of April, Davis Arts Council is going to be having their last small stage concert series. This is going to be an in-person concert with the barbershop quartet Layton. And then they'll also be announcing their Summer Night with the Stars series on April 5th. And then we also have a couple of items I forgot to mention last week. The Communities That Care is having a town hall on March 29th, and that will be at North Layton Junior High School. It's geared towards parents and families who have children ages 11 to 18. And so we're encouraging all families to attend. If you have children, you can send an email to register to have childcare for your children for that event, but please come out. They'll have food. And then finally, youth court applications are out, and youth court is something that our city does for our youth, and it's a way for them to participate in a legal process for their peers, and their applications are ready to go. You can also, I believe they're having a event on the 23rd here in the chambers that evening. So if you want more information about that, see me afterwards. Check my Facebook because I don't have all the information in front of me right now, but these are some events that are good for our youth here in our city.
Perfect. And speaking of youth, Dave, you've got your youth council.
Well, the youth council, they're up in Logan right now at a conference.
The leadership conference.
We have a youth council that kind of mimics our council in a sense to try and learn, see how things work, how the government works, and good group of kids, great group of kids actually. And they're up there having a great time, just like you all remember when you went to places when you were kids. So.
Thank you. Councilman Morrison?
Yeah, just one. On Pitch Performing Arts here in the city, our community theater, their next show is starting Friday, tomorrow. So the Diary of Anne Frank will be running for the next couple of weeks. You can check for their website, the OPA website, for information on tickets for that.
Okay, one last announcement that I'll make, and this is on behalf of Davis County. They'd like to kind of help spread the word now and let folks know that in the past, you know, we've always had our Davis County Fair down at the Legacy Center. And this year, that Legacy Center is going to be under construction, but it was an opportunity for them to also kind of reevaluate what has taken place in the past as far as the fair and what all it involved. And so they felt like this was a perfect time to be able to kind of take a step back and recreate what the fairs were years ago, and they're going to call it now the Davis Heritage Festival Days. And in doing so, they're also going to move it over to where, you know, where the ponds are there in Kaysville. They'll be moving it over there, and it will be in conjunction with Baby Animal Days. So the date's going to change as well. So it's going to be that first part of May, which is May 9th, well, I guess mid-May, May 19th through the 21st. So if you want to, you know, take note of that and also kind of help spread that word, that'd be good. As far as the traditional 4-H and the livestock and events that have taken place, that will continue in August when they normally have it. But as far as the fair itself, it's going to kind of get back to that home feel, you know, a lot of the home goods and products that our citizens make. And so this will be just a good kind of transition back to the good old days as far as that goes. So anyway, just wanted to pass that on. Okay, I think that concludes our public announcements, our municipal announcements at this time. And we'll now move on to our verbal petitions. And it's quite an honor here. We have President Mortensen here from Weber State College. So I'm going to invite him up and have him give his presentation.
Thank you very much, Mayor Petro and council members. My name is Brad Mortensen. I'm the president of Weber State, and some of you are new to the council, so I'll share this quick story. But as I was campaigning to be president, one of the things I said to our board of trustees and the board of regents at the time was, we need to be louder and prouder about what's happening, all the great things happening at Weber State. And so when I got named president, they said, okay, we need you to be louder and prouder. And so one of the things we've done over my time, which has been 3 years now, believe it or not, is to visit our local city councils and to take our presidential leadership fellows. I'll introduce you to the one who's here tonight in just a minute, and just share with you a brief update about what's happening at the university and extend a sincere invitation to partner with you and to help make our community stronger together. So that's why I'm here tonight. I won't ask you for anything other than to reach out with any ideas or ways that we can partner to help make Layton City stronger. I do want to take a minute to share a couple of updates about Weber State, and it's we had our spring break last week, and just this week coming back, there's a great energy on campus. We had a speaker on Tuesday for our Women's History Month speaker. Her name's Lindsay Adaro. She's a Pulitzer Prize winning photojournalist who works for the New York Times. She's embedded in Ukraine right now, and she took 2 hours out of her at the end of her day, one to speak to a general campus audience, and then another hour with our journalism students, just to talk about what she's seeing. She's done this work for the last 20 years and has been on the front line, shared a lot of her photographs and why it's important to her to be a woman in this field that there aren't a lot of women in, and to capture perspectives that maybe men wouldn't capture as photojournalists. And she actually shot the photo that was on the front page of the New York Times, kind of documenting civilians being killed in the Russian attacks. And it was an amazing experience. And she was live streaming from her hotel room to a Weber State audience, and that was pretty cool to feel like we were really connected to what's happening in the world. Today, we hosted on campus our Intermountain Sustainability Summit, where we bring leaders from business and industry and government education together to talk about how we can improve sustainability practices. Weber State's really a leader in that. We pledged in 2007 under then President Milner to be carbon neutral by 2050, and we've had a great effort across campus. We're now on target to do that by 2040. And we've had huge cost savings. We've saved $18 million, reduced our emissions by 34%, and have tried to do things to build that in the community as well. So it was kind of a celebration of that and a great collaboration to talk about how we can do more together. So lots of great things happening at the university. Since I was here last, we've adopted a new strategic plan for the next 5 years. We call it Weber State Amplified, so that we can build on the great things that are happening and try to take the steps into the future to help more of our students be successful as they're going through, and to really meet the workforce and societal demands that we have for our graduates. That's going really well. One thing that's part of that plan is a goal for Weber State to become an emerging Hispanic serving institution, so that we can do more to match the demographics in our area. And we have gotten some exciting support from Ally Bank and other sponsors to help us pursue those goals. So there's a lot of great things happening there. We have 29,774 students enrolled at Weber State this fall, and a big chunk of those are at the Ogden campus. We have about 3,500 enrolled in classes at the Davis campus. We have over 11,000 students enrolled in their high schools throughout Davis and Weber and other counties as concurrent enrollment students. And so we're really trying to reach out to do that. Layton City has 2,528 Weber State students attending from your boundaries, and 1,500 of those are concurrent enrollment students taking advantage of the opportunities to earn very affordable college credit while they're in high school and make better use of their high school experience. There's 8,814 Weber State alumni that live in Layton. And at the suggestion of Councilmember Morris, any of you who are Weber State alumni could ask you to stand up or raise your hand. So it's a great group. So, I like to say that Weber State provides, the backbone of our communities, whether it's our elected officials or those who serve. We have Chief Swanson is a Weber State alumnus as well, and really provide a great backbone for our communities. I do want to highlight two younger alumni who you may not know. Tom Bowker graduated in 2018. He's a software engineer for Lockheed Martin and has worked at Hill Air Force Base. He serves on our Young Alumni Council. And his wife, Jelinette Martinez, was Miss Layton a few years ago, and she teaches science at West Point Junior High. And so they're great contributing members of your community as well. At this point, let me introduce our outstanding Presidential Leadership Fellow. Each year we ask faculty and staff to nominate students who are not only doing amazing things academically, but also for the contributions they make across campus and in the community. And Hannah is extraordinary in those means. So Hannah Olson, although she did just confess to me that she's a little disappointed with Weber State because she's a double major in finance and criminal justice, so in the College of Business and the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences, and their convocations for graduation are at the same time. So anyway, I have to ask for Hannah's forgiveness on that one. But Hannah Olson, please come up and share a little bit about yourself with the council.
Thank you. Well, that was a little bit of a lot to hold up to, President Mortensen, but hello, good evening, and hello again, Mayor Petro. I actually was also Miss Layton just this past year.
I was just going to say, we got another celebrity in the audience.
Oh my gosh. So I was crowned Miss Northern Utah, and then because of the COVID weirdness, there was kind of 2 years of people going to Miss Utah this last year. So I got to pick a new title to compete out with Miss Utah. So I was the first Miss Layton at Miss Utah in many, many years, and I got to get permission from Mayor Petro, and it was the whole thing. It was very, very awesome. So, yes. So a little bit about me. So I am graduating this semester, like President Morton said. I am a finance, criminal justice double major, psychology, legal studies double minor. I am pre-law. Eventually, I'm going to law school. We shall see when. I was just accepted into the MBA program and Masters of English program at Weber State, and I'm in an interview process for the Masters of Education as well. So I'm kind of trying to decide what to do with my one year that I'm giving myself before law school to kind of mess around a little bit more at Weber State because I can't get enough. So it's a real thing. So in my time at Weber, I have been really heavily involved. I was in WSUSA, which is the Student Association or the student government at Weber State. My first year, I was on the service team as the Weber County Elections chair, which actually gave me a little bit of a door into Davis County elections, and I got to help with the election process being a poll worker in the 2019 election, which further cemented my goal of going into public service. It was one of the best days of my whole life. And then the next year I was elected the leadership vice president, so I got to man a team, and we completed multiple different leadership conferences for high school students as well as collegiate students. And then the next year I was elected the legislative vice president or the Senate president for Weber State Student Association. So that's manning the whole legislative branch. It's around 30 students and a $30,000 budget, overseeing all the different areas at Weber State. So from there, I kind of was ready to go into a different realm of current students to prospective students. So I got approached to be an admissions ambassador for Weber State, and so now that's what I do. So I give the tours and I go recruit at high schools and give, all of the recruitment activities that I can and try to get people to Weber State. So this is most of my job, is to brag about my college, which I love so much. I am from Layton. I've only lived in Layton my whole life. I am born and raised like Layton product, and I'm really proud of that. I went to E.G. King Elementary, and then I went to North Layton Junior High. So I'm really proud to call Layton my home. If you guys have any questions for me, I would love to answer them, but otherwise I won't take up any more time.
Sounds like we need to recruit you.
Hey, I'm here. I'm here.
So, yeah, congratulations on all of those.
Thank you.
For all your service. I mean, that bodes well on what that title is, quite honestly. You're louder and prouder.
I'm so loud, yes.
As a product of the Weber State MBA program, I'm kind of partial. So
Okay.
I suggest you look heavily into that one.
Yeah, it is definitely the one that's caught my eye the most. I have to say that. With my finance background, it's kind of kept me. I don't know. I've gotten bitten by the bug. So
Yeah, it's a great program. Glad to have you all here. Glad to see President Mortensen, Mr. Steve. These are buddies of mine, so I'm glad to be here and let you hear, you hear us hear what you have to offer and what you're doing. It's really awesome to see young people exploring things and just being excited about what opportunities are available. So
yeah,
keep her as long as you can.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And thank you for being here.
So that really concludes our presentation. Thank you for allowing us some time. I'm happy to respond to any questions you all might have, but just please take us up on the invitation to work with you on in any way that we might to help Layton be stronger.
Well, I'll speak, I'm sure, for Tyson. He's part of the Farm Bureau. I am also, but we truly appreciate Weber State allowing us to use your parking lot so that we could do the farmers feeding families. And this year it was a focus on the military. So yeah, there was Julie Snowball was awesome to work with. I mean, you've got a great staff, but at the same time, you can come here anytime.
Okay.
We'll love you. We'll adopt you as well. So
that's great.
Thank you very much.
Do you mind, Madam Mayor?
Oh.
President Mortensen, thanks for being here. I remember my first day in law school. I was sitting next to a guy and he asked me where I went to school, and I told him, and he had no idea where that was. He went to some big fancy school. And I told him about what my experience was in school, that I worked full time and I went to school full time, and that was my life. And he was completely shocked. He had no idea that people did that. So I asked him what he did, and he said, well, I just went to class and we went and hung out, and then I went back to class and went and hung out. And so Weber State is so important to communities and to our community particularly because of socioeconomic situations where kids might not be able to go and they have to pay their way. Their parents aren't paying for their school. They have to work their way through. And I was sitting in the same place where someone, and he wasn't a bad guy, but I had a much different life than he had. Right. And it helped me when I was in law school. It's helped me in my practice. It's helped me in my family life. And I tell people all over, I'll tell them as much as I can that I look back at Weber State. That's my alumni, not my law school. Weber State is my alumni because that's made me the person that I was. That gave me the confidence that I could do things in this world. And so you're going to be great in law school. You're going to be an amazing lawyer, whatever you try to do. But because of what you got at Weber State and because of the leadership of President Mortensen and all the things you guys do there, it's so important. So we just want to say thank you.
Thank you. The thing that I'm proudest about in our strategic plan is our new vision statement, which says we strive to be a national leader at meeting students where they are, wherever they're at, meeting all students where they are, challenging and guiding them to meet their goals academically and in life. And that's what I think we try to, encapsulate more than anything else. If we only do that, we'll be very successful, and so will our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we have another exciting presentation, and I'm personally grateful and thankful for all these folks that are willing to step up and go through the CERT program. So I am actually going to turn the time over to our fire marshal, Mr. Doug Bitton, and his assistant, Natalie Thulman, who you guys, I appreciate all the effort and time that you put into this. And I know that this program wouldn't be where it is today if it wasn't for the dedication that you have. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council members. I don't know if I dare change the color from purple to green now.
It is St. Patty's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. I appreciate President Mortensen's comments, and I just thought my gears were starting to turn, saying maybe we should start a student program for CERT through the Davis campus or something like that. Just a thought.
There you go.
Things as we go here. And again, I'm pleased to be here, and I'm grateful for Natalie to be here. Come stand by you, Natalie, so I don't feel so alone. Natalie Bowen is our CERT coordinator, and we're here to be able to present to you some wonderful graduates that have gone through the CERT program, and I just wanted to express a little bit more about what the CERT program and what it means to Layton City. And I'm on behalf of Chief Kevin Morgan, couldn't be able to make it here tonight. So Layton City is blessed to have an outstanding fire, EMS, and law enforcement services. In the event of disaster, public safety personnel will be overwhelmed by every response necessary in the community, even through robust mutual aid. There is a concept that is having trained certified community emergency response teams, or CERT, bridge the gap. The CERT program educates volunteers about disaster preparedness, the hazards that they may impact their area, and train them in basic disaster response skills such as fire safety, light search and rescue, team organization, disaster medical operations. CERT offers a consistent nationwide approach to volunteers training and organizations that professionally respond and rely on during the disaster situations, allowing them to focus on more complex tasks. This is accomplished through 9 training modules. The last of which involves the disaster simulations called the mock disaster, getting the trained CERT members now has put their training action into play. The Layton City CERT program is led by Layton Fire Public Education.
Yes. There you go. Oh, okay. Hopefully everyone heard that a little bit, but Layton City CERT program is led by Layton Fire Public Education Specialist Natalie Tholen. We're blessed to have her lead this program. She has been recognized by the state of Utah in her involvement with CERT and other ancillary programs called Fire Corps that provides fire and life safety education in schools as well as major incident rehab services. Over the years, Layton City, through its volunteer instructors, the fire department staff has trained thousands of community members in the CERT program. Tonight, we recognize the latest graduates of the CERT program and willing to volunteer and serve their community in an event of a disaster. I'd be amiss if I didn't be able to also recognize some great instructors that are volunteers that dedicate their time, so much time, to helping roll out this program. So I'd like to acknowledge first, and maybe if we can start out this by having these instructors come up, we'd like to have you shake the hand of our council members and mayor. Carol Childers. She's not here. Okay. Floyd Gowans. He's not here. See, they're so busy they can't be here.
Floyd's been around a while too. I know.
Yes, Floyd has.
For quite a while.
Yeah. Michael Tholen. Yes, he is. He's hard to miss, so he's here. This is the voluntold person? Yeah. Okay. And Sandy Moss. So yes, appreciate them coming through. And also some moulage artists who got it from their mom. She's the master of moulage. Moulage, if you don't know, that's doing makeup wounds. And I'll tell you, if he was able to walk or get Natalie's phone, she'd probably have you pass out with all the wounds that she's made. Samuel Tholen and also Joshua Tholen is a moulage specialist. So we'd like to announce these CERT members. Appreciate your time. And again, I think this is also ones that also involve themselves as city employees, right? So we have city employees that have involved their time to become CERT trained. So let's go through the list here. Catherine Peterson. Joanne Grande. Morgan Cloward. Jason Lewis. Jonathan Hamlin. I can't believe he's made the list, but Steve Garside. Laura, I'll have to have this name. Schaeffenmeyer. Julie Smith. Patrick Sherman. Zachary Caden. Weston Apolloni. Oswald. Kelly Whitesides, Jamie Zunga, Zuninga, Steve Kaiser, Karen Abbott, Nick Smith, James Brandenburg, Reggie Springer, Dual, Jill Springer, Eric Gridley, Stacy Gridley, Barbara McCann, Kathy Esplin, Liz Smith, Ross Marshall, David Smith, Desiree Smith, Steve Dixon, Leonard Eversole, Linda Eversole, Bruce Abbott, Richard LaFontaine. Again, thank you, sir, class. Thanks for all your time, and look for you at the next disaster. Do I turn this off?
Well, we really. Is this on? Okay. I wasn't sure. It kind of sounded a little weak. Well, tonight's like all education night. We really appreciate everyone here tonight. President Morrison, thank you for being here, and Hannah. And of course, all of those folks with the CERT certification. I mean, this is an education course that they have to take. It's takes a lot of time and energy to do that. And I just want to continue to encourage folks to participate in the CERT program, because it's in those emergency situations that we're really going to need to rely on our residents. And this program goes into depth as far as all the steps that how we coordinate that. And it's just a good, I got to say, a good program all the way around. And I think, I don't have the total numbers yet, but I want to say we're probably pushing about 3,000 citizens that have taken it. But when you look at a population of 80 plus, yeah, we need more folks in this program. And you can do it online now. So again, contact Natalie Thulman, and she'll let you know when the next course is starting, which I know it's pretty soon.
Well, evidently I'm a 1996 graduate. She looked it up.
Oh, yeah.
And but now that Garside's in it, I'd kind of, maybe I need to retire.
Well, I think you and I both took it before it was really robust in what it is today, but nonetheless, it was still just as detailed and in depth. So that's a great program for anyone. Okay, I'm going to move our meeting right along. We are down to our item number 4, which is our citizen comments. So if there's anyone here who would like to come to the podium, and if you want to state your name and address for the record, we'd be happy to hear from you. Okay.
Well, Tommy Joe Tudor, 1757 Gregory Drive, Layton, Utah, for 54 years living here before a lot of people in the city. And I love it when there's a program from Weber State University. I'm the alumni from there of 4 years. Hurrah, hurrah, hurrah. And that was, I didn't even know they were coming. I'm just a little angel out there listening. So that was wonderful. I supported, got my degree in June 4th, 1974. That can rattle to you a little bit. Went to the football games, basketball games, sports, everything. Loved it. So when I taught over at Layton City Police for the teachers that didn't have any knowledge about law enforcement, security, Mel Manning and Paul Smith would call me over there to teach the high school kids. And so you bet I did. And they'd go out for coffee. So I'm really glad that I didn't know. This was a surprise to me. I took care of Layton City students for 20 years here and started out with the first fire I went to was when we had run and go and get to the cars to the people at the post office and everywhere around there. And I used to escort them to where the fire was. There was a lot that needed to be done. So that was when Chief of Fire was over there and got the building on Fort Lane dedicated to him. And I was the first policeman that went to the first fire that helped the substitute firemen responding on the fires. I got up there and blockaded the street off, and John H. Adams was the first chief of the fire. And I'd do anything for them and the firefighter. Well done. But anyway, some of mine is a lot of history that eventually is going to go in to the Layton Museum. I've got tons of it at home.
Well, thank you, Tommy. We appreciate all your effort here at the city and your dedication.
Well, I'm just happy you allowed me to speak beyond my upper mayor and city council and the people of Layton City, Utah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mayor, council members, leaders. Brad Richens, 1902 East, 2125 North, Layton, Utah. First time I've seen Steve. Hello. Basically, in keeping with the pattern, I've presented several times concerning the Cedarwood Mobile Home Park. Keeping with that pattern, what I like to do is try to, think and be positive and thank everyone involved, and then maybe make a request or an exhortation, and I want to keep that. Just a couple residents today and no big marching band. Just wanted to say, how are things going? And from my perspective, good, really good. And I'd like to thank the efforts, Mayor coming out with open doors, Bettina coming to the meetings, and everybody involved, Alex. I feel like that everybody's kind of coming together with this mobile home project. And it's not any one individual. It's not the city. It's not Louise Brown, which is doing a great job. It's not just the resident. It's not the other organizations involved. It's everybody coming together, McKay, et cetera, the developer. And my thought process is that first wave has been successful. And I didn't know if that was going to happen. We have the media and different factors, but I didn't know if that was going to happen. And I see that being a positive thing. From the developer coming in, the city, I know with the SB 115, 2009, that tax deferment, reaching out to Senator Niederhauser, who was appointed to the Homeless Commission by Governor Cox, and then also with the mayor from Taylorsville, who initiated that bill, Russell Wall, and then, of course, Gregory Hughes, who presented that in 2009, that tax deferment or those tax funds being able to help. That was a big part of the previous presentations. But I feel like the residents that have had some help from that have had some help from the developers, from McKay relocating some of those residents, as well as you know, the other organizations in Louise, countless hours working with each entity or each individual. I think the biggest thing that's happened here is the residents have stood up and they've become involved. They've taken responsibility to come forward and try to work out their own situation. And that was asked of them in that closed meeting that we had. So I'd like to say that I see that going forward in a positive way. And I'd like to just, as a request, to not lose the intensity, to not lose the pattern of working together and figuring out each one of our individual residents' futures, if you will. And so basically, the last thing is I feel like the state and those individuals, especially the lawmakers, attorneys, developers that I've worked with, are looking at the city of Layton. And they're saying, you know, how are these parks being closed? Clearfield, of course, going in and purchasing the land and doing it differently. And I'm feeling like they're looking at here. I think we can be proud of what's going on so far. And I think this could be an example of how other parks could be closed and how the displaced population can be relocated. And so I just come with positivity saying thank you for the help. Sometimes the media, you know, gives a bad rap, but also to keep that intensity with each one of those individuals. As we work with each individual that I'm working with, we'll have more requests and everyone will have to be relocated. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate that. Anyone else?
David Cook, 329 North, 1500 East in Layton. Good evening, Mayor and council members. I have two quick issues. It's my first meeting this year, calendar year. But is there anything on the books for getting some more street repairs done? Because that intersection by Fairfield Vet and Jiffy Lube has been getting so much patch repair down the last 2-3 years. I think it's time that street gets redone on that block. Because there's been a lot of man hours, resources thrown at that corner by the stop sign next to Jiffy Lube. And it just keeps popping back up.
The Jiffy Lube on Main Street, did you say that?
Jiffy Lube on Fairfield Road, across from Fairfield Vet by 3 North. And further up Fairfield Road from Church Street all the way to 193 is starting to develop potholes. It's going to get worse. I know my truck feels it every day when I go to work, especially you get toward that new subdivision toward the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Days I want to ride my bike to work, but now if I'm going to get my teeth rattled out of my head. Secondly, last item, I'm sure, Mayor, you're aware of the new housing development going in up there by 1500 East. It's 17 new homes going in. I think they're calling it Sherman Estates or Sherman Acres, something like that. Mm-hmm. There's a new home going in next to me, right on the north side of my house. They've raised the yard a good 4 feet. Part of the, I don't know if it's a driveway or what it is about 6 feet above my yard. I came home one day to find the co-developer telling my wife that we're going to raise our backyard 2 feet to accommodate rain drainage problems and whatnot. I quickly corrected the gentleman and told him, no, I'm not raising my backyard. He needs to fix the drain problem himself at that unit next to me to the north, and the one next to my neighbor, Bob Harvey, on the west side. I know you might be aware of some of the problems with that development. Mm-hmm. And the co-developer went on to make a comment to my wife that maybe we'll get lucky when somebody come down and offer to bulldoze our house and rebuild it for us. I'm not too keen on developers making comments like that. But yes, I know our house was built in the mid-'80s. These new homes, $800,000 to $1 million a piece. Okay, I get it. It's development. We know times change. I get it. But I think this developer needs to learn a little bit of professionalism and customs and courtesies there. So I don't know if that's something you all like to address with developer. I know like I said, I won't dive into it because part of it's not my business, it's Mr. Harvey's. with the whole driveway issue. I'm sure you might be aware of that. But I hope these people are taking that into consideration. Yeah, we've been there a long time. I know I'm gonna respect my neighbors as long as they respect me. But don't tell me I need to change mine to accommodate for them. That's on the wrong side of the line. My wife and I are both retired vets, and we try to get along with a lot of people, but we're not going to tolerate that kind of nonsense from developers. So if we could address that in some manner that would get the point, we appreciate courtesy and respect and not throw lines like that at us. It's not going to bode well with community relations.
No, we appreciate you bringing that to our attention.
Okay.
Hey, you said 1500 East, what?
Yes, sir.
And what? I didn't catch it all.
329 North.
329. Thank you.
So if you come due north of Gentile, you can't miss my home. I got the flagpole in the corner with 2 flags on it right now, about 24 feet in the air. So if you look at the property right next to mine, you will see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And if we get a good spring thaw, or God forbid we get a monsoon, all of a sudden, there's gonna be rain drainage problems. I advised him it'd be best if he put in a drain line to run it to the street. Because my neighbor, Bob Harvey, almost had his basement flooded from the guy next to him recently. Fortunately, that didn't happen, but I hope they got that in their plans somewhere when they finish up that development. If not, I guess we're gonna have some problems. So.
No, I'm aware of some of those issues there, and I appreciate it. I know that we had to address a couple items early on, so we'll see what we
I
can
hope
do.
it's in the plans. If not, they better draw it in quick before we run into a lot more problems we don't want. So.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you for your time.
Anyone else? Okay, I'll go ahead and move down to our consent items. Council, we have 4 items here before us that we're going to need to hear, and then we can make one routine action on all of them. So we'll start out with item number A, which will be presented by Dave Price, and it's regarding a proposal for an agreement between Layton City and Design West Architect.
Thank you, Mayor and council members. This evening, I have the opportunity to present Resolution 2222, accepting a proposal for an agreement between Layton City and Design West Architects for professional architectural design services for 2 park shop facilities. Layton City proposes to make improvements to the existing park shop located at Commons Park and to build a new park shop facility located at Ellison Park. The improvements would be constructed in phases through each fiscal year's approved budget process. Phase 1 was approved in 2021-22 with funding to construct the improvements at both Commons Park and Ellison Park. Phase 2 is pending approval of the 2022-2023 and the 2023-2024 budget requests. Upon approval, the following improvements are planned for Ellison Park: a new shop building, equipment bays, storage or soil storage areas, and a parking lot. A request for proposal for professional architectural design services was sent out. Design firms were asked to break down their proposals into a fee schedule for Phase 1 and a fee schedule for Phase 2. One professional architectural firm responded to the RFP by turning in a proposal and a sealed fee. The proposal was evaluated and scored by 3 individuals using a predetermined weighted scoring system. The technical proposals were evaluated under 5 general categories. Design West Architecture received a score of 65.8 out of 75 points possible in the technical proposal evaluation. Once the technical proposals evaluation was completed, the fee proposal was then opened. Design West Architecture's fee of $139,724 for Phase 1 and $375,653 for Phase 2 received the highest points possible. The combination of technical proposal scores of 65.8 and a fee proposal score of 25 gave Design West Architecture an overall score of 90.8 out of 100. We have worked with Design West Architecture in the past and feel very comfortable with their ability to perform the work and to be able to complete the work in the design fee that they've offered. Staff recommends the council adopt Resolution 2222, authorizing the city manager to conduct negotiations and execute an agreement between Layton City and Design West Architects for professional architectural design services. Any questions?
Council?
Good one. The fee proposal getting the highest score, is that an objective standard based on how many people have actually bid for it, or is that subjective, or is it objective to all fees, or is it just subjective to the actual, this proposal?
If typically we have multiple firms apply, and so it is subjective to the fees that are turned in by the firms. In this case, there was just a single one for the fee. But it did fall well within the parameters of what's established for fees like this.
Mayor, Dave, you mentioned that the city's used this group before. Was it the new park? Is that?
Yep, the new park on the west side of town that's being finished up right now, as well as the pickleball courts.
Okay.
We have a slightly different team that they've proposed because the architecture is prominent in this project, whereas landscape architecture took the role in the other two projects. But 3 of the 4 members of the design team are the same, and we've worked with them before. Yeah.
And just so you know, I've actually had the opportunity to sit in on the selection back when we were doing the park, and at that time, we had 7 or 8 folks that are firms that submitted proposals, and at that time, Design West was the one that was chosen. So I think based upon their history and their performance that we've witnessed so far, I feel comfortable in accepting this, even though we only had 1 offer.
Very good.
I did have one question. In line with Councilman Bloxham's question, there were 3 evaluators, and of the 3, 1 evaluator on the design portion came in much, much lower than the others. Just wondered if there was any context behind that.
That was me.
Well, then you're the perfect person to give that context.
As we looked at, or as I looked at these, I think I just took a longer view. You know, I've done many more of these than the other 2 evaluators, and I felt that they were a very qualified firm, but there were still some areas that their proposal, not the firm, but their proposal was lacking. And so that's why I personally scored them a little lower for their presentation.
So to follow up with that, in the negotiations, if this is to be approved, you, through our city manager, would have opportunity to provide some additional information about, what you would like to see that you didn't see in the proposal. Is that possible?
It's already been done.
Okay, great.
One of the big gaps that I saw in their proposal was that they did not indicate how their relationship with the CMGC, the general contractor, would occur. And so before we brought this to the city manager for consideration, we had them correct that and identify not only, how and who would make that connection, but how often that meeting would take place. Because in our climate right now, that's critical that these 2 individuals or these 2 firms work closely together.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number B, which is a bid award with post asphalt paving, and Mr. Mr. Terry Colburn is going to present this one for us.
Thank you, Mayor. Bring before the council Resolution 2220, a bid award for post-asphalt paving and construction incorporated 380 King Street improvements along King Street, starting at approximately 380 North King Street for approximately 300 feet to the north. Resolution 2220 authorizes the execution of an agreement between Layton City and Post Asphalt Paving and Construction Incorporated for the 380 King Street improvements. The project includes the installation of sidewalk, curb, and gutter asphalt and all incidental work associated with this sidewalk installation. 4 bids were received with Post Asphalt Paving and Construction Incorporated submitting the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $76,050. The engineer's estimate was $80,000. Staff recommends the council adopt Resolution 2220. Just for council's information, this property owner donated the ground. City did not have to buy it. He donated it, and we will put the improvements, curb, gutter, sidewalk, match the asphalt. For council's information, this will take sidewalk on the east side of King Street from Gentile up to the tracks, over the tracks, all the way up to Olson Plaza to complete that section of sidewalk.
Okay, council, do you have any questions regarding this project? Thank you very much.
I have one, Mayor.
And thank you for having the illustrations up here. Oh, sorry, Tyson. Go ahead.
Sorry, there's a delay. Hey, Terry, on one of the line items, the mill grind and removal of the existing asphalt surface, what happens to that product? I know there was a lot of big differences on the different bids. I'm just wondering what happens to that product. Does the city retain that? Those ground products and use them elsewhere?
Usually, Tyson, when there's grinding going on, if we don't use it at the project or use it for fill elsewhere, it can be taken to other sites, or sometimes we'll even store it at our site for future use. The difference in prices is just what's going on in the world today. Some contractors have better connections and they can have a lower price. Others on certain line items are higher.
Okay, appreciate that. No, I see that as an asset for the city and really is something that they own. So thanks for that answer. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Terry, when someone donates property like that, do we name the sidewalk after them? How do we say thanks for that?
Well, in this particular instance, this person's a little bit different than what we've dealt with in recent years. He didn't want anything. He wanted to donate it. From talking to Alex, Alex knows him personally. He's the kind of guy that if widows need work, he does work for them and doesn't charge them. There's other things that he has done to benefit people and does not charge them. So if we had a sidewalk street sign or something, we would, or if we painted it with graffiti, we could name it after him. But
well, I mean, we do the things with the street signs. I mean, we could give him one of those, right, with his name on it. I mean,
yeah, we could
nominate him for a hometown hero.
Should do that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we see a lot of these property acquisitions, and people obviously for their rights, they're going to negotiate the best deal, but there's something special about someone donating a sidewalk so the kids don't have to walk on the road. So
there is.
Just appreciate
well, and you're talking 300 feet here too.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Okay. All right. Anything else? Thank you. Are you going to do the next one as well?
I am.
Sweet. Okay. I'll let you go ahead and proceed then.
Bring before the council Resolution 2221, a bid award for Custom Lighting Services LLC, DBA Black and McDonald Street Light Installation and Maintenance. We talked about it in work meeting. various locations throughout the city. Resolution 2221 authorizes the execution of an agreement between Layton City and Custom Lighting Services, LLC, DBA Black & McDonald, for the streetlight installation and maintenance. The project includes the installation of Layton City provided streetlights, conduit, wire, and associated items. 2 bids were received with Custom Lighting Services, LLC, DBA Black & McDonald, submitting the lowest responsible bid in the amount of $333,451.70. The engineer's estimate was $400,000. We recommend the council adopt Resolution 2221.
Okay, any questions? I'll make a comment here, and I do appreciate this because I know that the council, when we went through the process of the street lighting fee, we wanted to make sure that a portion of it was earmarked specifically for the residents. And I think this is a good example here on how we're making sure that we follow through with that. So I appreciate that.
And because of their connections and permits with Rocky Mount Power, the city now will be able to respond to certain things like a light being out where we used to have to call them before and have them come. They've got permission to get in and turn those things off and fix them and get them back on. So it'll be a lot better customer service for the citizens.
Any questions, council? No? Okay. Thank you. We appreciate that. Okay, we have one more item on our consent item, which is an approval of a professional service agreement between Layton City and Sustainable Real Estate Solutions. And Mr. Chad Wilkinson will present this one to us.
Thanks, Mayor, Council. This, as was just said, this Resolution 2218 would approve a professional services agreement between Layton City and Sustainable Real Estate Solutions for the purpose of accepting or authorizing the Utah Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy or CPACE program. The purpose of this program is to provide an alternate financing tool for commercial businesses that want to install energy efficient or alternative energy type of things like solar panels, other alternative energy sources. It also provides for some funding for things like seismic upgrades. This would authorize city staff to administer that program on behalf of the council and would, again, enter into an agreement with SRS to provide for administration of that program to allow for those that financing mechanism to be available to private business. We are recommending that the council approve this resolution, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? I think we asked quite a few in the previous work meeting, so thank you for that time spent on it.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, council, that brings our consent items to a close. So if someone would like to be brave enough to step up and make the, oh, Mr. Thomas, make the.
I figure I get the meeting over quicker.
Okay, let's hear it.
I don't know that I will, though.
Go for it.
Okay, I move that we accept consent item A, resolution 22-27.
22.
At 22. I can't even read my own writing without glasses. And then I have Mr. Jensen. Wow. No wonder he's so smart. Consent item B, project 21-73, resolution 22-20. Consent item C, project 21-61, resolution 22-21. And D, which would be resolution 22-18.
Okay. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved in second that we adopt all the consent items as presented. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I'm sure I heard a aye from Tyson. So, okay, that's great. Okay, council, that pretty much concludes our meeting for this evening, unless there's any unfinished business that anyone would like to bring before us. Okay, very good. Who's going to be the quick one to motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
I second it.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We appreciate your patience here this evening, and congratulations to all those folks that took the CERT program.